What's up? Joe here, Profit First Reseller. Man, have I been head down focused for the last few days. Man, and basically I thought I'd just make a list of the things that I focus on in my day with my hours. I feel like as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I'm most conscious of is how I spend my waking hours every day. And so it really comes down to these 4 things. I could only come up with a list of 4 things that I focus on in my whole life. So this might be a short video, but it kind of got me thinking because recently I posted something to the Tech and Sports Facebook group about some of the things that I don't do as a $1,000 a day eBay reseller. And just recently, Tech and Sports actually had me on his podcast. So that'll be released, I think, in the next couple of weeks. Basically a dream come true. I feel like I've already achieved all of my social media goals at this point. I was on my favorite podcast already, so that's pretty cool. So thank you so much, and shout out to Tech and Sports for having me on. That'll be out soon. But anyway, what we talked about on his podcast was some of the things that I don't do, but I feel like I could write lists upon lists, pages on pages of all the things I don't do. I think I'm pretty good at saying no to things. But what I do is actually pretty simple. So I thought I'd talk about that a little bit today. So what I focus on, what I do, what I spend my time on each day, it's basically these 4 things. Number 1 is family. Cliche, I guess, but I think it is what I spend. I mean, what is so much of the reason that I work, and obviously all the money I make is shared. Like within our house, we're completely socialist, like obviously, right? Everything is shared, and all the money that I make is kind of shared and distributed among all of us. And then I spend a good amount of my free time as well, and I have also organized my work life around being available for my family. That's one of my favorite parts about working on eBay, especially from home, is that I'm available when my wife needs me, especially when the kids are a lot younger. Now we're all out of diapers and past the napping phase and all that stuff, so it's gotten a little bit easier. But family is, and I think will continue to be, my number 1 focus. Yeah, it's, I don't know, kind of cliche, I guess, but it really, when I met my wife, that took it to another level of recognizing how precious this life is, and like also how big I can dream. I think my wife and I, Heather, are really good at dreaming together. So when we dream big, it makes me want to work even harder. And then you have kids, you bring kids into the mix, and man, I'll tell you this, I don't recommend parenting to anyone. No one. Actually, I don't recommend eBay to anyone either. I love my job, and I certainly love being a parent, but it is not for everyone. You might say, yeah, well, parents are so focused, or if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And I think, unfortunately, there's a little bit of survivorship bias there. Like, I think a lot of the parents that aren't successful or aren't working out, maybe aren't out and about, those aren't the ones that you're seeing. But parenting is hard. Like, it certainly will increase the stakes of your life, increase the demands. And so it kind of does either force you to become a more capable person, a more efficient person, or better at delegating, or maybe just more accepting of lowering your standards. Or it just makes you suffer the consequences. Like, the kids are there, the demands are there, and often you are suffering the consequences and your kids are too. So it's just, man, the world's got plenty of issues. We don't need more babies necessarily. I think we could just focus our energy on other things. And I just recognize how energy intensive babies are, especially having had 3 of them with my wife. We're so lucky. And it's just, yeah. It's a great motivator for me because I love it. It brings me a lot of joy. Like, the only reason I do it is for those awesome moments in between all the harder bits. Like, it definitely requires a lot more chores than I was hoping. Like, I've had to clean my house a lot more than I was hoping I needed to in order to retain some level of sanity. But you do it for those moments in between, those moments where I'm lying on the bed with my arms out and all my kids, my wife are here. And it's just like my whole world is in one little bedroom, and it's beautiful. So for me, that's worth it, right? But I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. And it's the same thing for eBay, right? Like, there's some epic highs, but eBay, running an eBay business is just full of you questioning yourself. It's just full of you over and over again saying, is this right? Like, is this the right price? Is it gonna sell? Should I accept this offer? Should I counter? Like, that's the life that you're signing up for, really. So it's not for everybody at the end of the day. And, I really appreciate having family in my life, but it's a responsibility. And running an eBay business as well is kind of a big responsibility, and that it takes a lot of decisions, but I've realized also it kind of plays into my strengths. Same with, parenting. I had great parents and had a great childhood and understood the dynamics of raising kids, I think, being an oldest kid and having much younger siblings. So I think I was kind of uniquely set up for it. My wife too. It's just something she's always known she's wanted to do, and always loved taking care of kids. And so we're set up for it, but not everybody is. And I would say the same thing for eBay. My wife and I had a previous business. We had some business experience going into eBay, but I've never recommended to a single person, quit your job and do eBay. Like, it's not for everybody. And it requires a lot of focus, a lot of energy. You have to treat it like a job and then some, because you have to be the worker and the boss. Sometimes you got to work extra. So that's my number one. I only have 4 priorities, going on and on. Obvious. Okay, number 1, family. Number 2 priority is health. So I realized that, if I had a job that I knew was compromising my health, I would be plotting to get out of there as quickly as I could. I know that at the end of the day, I know that I need to work to provide for my family, so that's number 1. But my family that loves me, the ones that I consider my family, which is thankfully all of my family, I think they all do love me. They want me to live for a long time, right? And so any kind of job that's going to be detrimental to my health, that's got to go. And sometimes short-term situations, I understand. I would certainly consider a job that was maybe a night shift job, but I also see the statistics on how that can be quite detrimental to your health. So I would also probably be plotting my next move of how I can get out of there and get a job that more fits in with my lifestyle, that allows me to do things like this, like to go out for a walk in the middle of the day, get my steps in. So that's what I appreciate. One of the many things I appreciate about the eBay machine, the eBay job, is that I do have this kind of freedom, but I'm also constantly fighting that, questioning myself of, should I be doing this? Should I be working more? Should I earn more money? And I've dealt with all the downsides of that too. Working too much, working too little, trying to figure out that balance. So it's always a balance. So health's number 2. That's why I do focus so much on healthy eating. So I kind of break up health. If I was going to split it up, it'd be into mental health and physical health. And I think it's actually quite simple. When it comes to mental health, for me, the number 1 thing I have to focus on, and the only thing, there's only one thing on the list for mental health, it's sleep quality. I've recognized that, especially as a parent, when that has really been challenged. I've recognized that I am not my best self when I'm sleep deprived, and I get really survival based real quick. The first thing that goes is my ability to have fun, and then after that is my ability to function at all. And you can kind of make it on quite a little amount of sleep. I really surprised myself, with our small babies, how little sleep you can go on, but it's not necessarily good work you're going to be outputting. You're going to be able to be awake for the whole day, but man, and then to also look at the statistics on sleep and health. But for me, the most unfortunate thing I noticed about me when I'm sleep deprived is my fuse got a lot shorter in between feeling an emotion and then acting it out. So whereas a more rested, more peaceful version of me, the best version of myself, I would hope, would maybe have a feeling or have a thought, but then also have a moment to reflect on that and to decide if it's a good thing to act on. The more sleep deprived I get, the more I'm just acting out those emotions. And that can be quite detrimental to the people around you. I can start to act out fear, act out anger, act out anxiety, act out frustration. And when it's your kids that are the victims of that, you recognize the importance of sleep. So for me, mental health, sleep, epically important. So just however much you need. I've bought every pillow on Amazon. I've tried all the mattress covers. You have to just figure it out. Like, obviously it's so different for everybody. It's like running shoes or something. Everyone's body is so different that you have to just try a lot of options until you find the one that works for you. And I would encourage that. Figure out what works until you can get an awesome, solid amount of sleep where you wake up feeling like the best version of yourself. Just because for mental health, for me, that's what allows me that extra little bit of energy when I'm fully rested to actually enjoy my life. Now that sounds crazy, but especially at this point in my life, the demands of my life are quite high between parenting and teaching and eBay business and all that I'm able to do it and also have fun in my head as long as I'm well rested. I'm able to have my own kind of inner life in a sense. And that kind of gives me that freedom and also the ability to have that inner narrative and to recognize that though my days are full at this time in my life, it's all with stuff that I value and that I chose. So I'm really quite lucky in that sense. So anyway, for mental health, sleep is so important. It allows me that space. For physical health, for me, it just comes down to what I eat and then movement. I just need to be moving regularly, getting some form of cardio in, and then eating healthy. And that's it. It's as simple as that. But that's hard. Like, that is actually hard to figure out the meals that work for you and then do the dishes and then do that consistently. Then you have to eat again tomorrow, and it's easier just to eat the less healthy stuff often or all that. So yeah, it's just, it's about making decisions. It's all about the decisions you have to make. And I've made it a lot easier for myself. I just eat the same things over and over again. So I just have to choose from a very limited menu in my head. And that makes it quite easy. Because you can be overwhelmed with choice, and then you end up just choosing the easiest thing because you're so hungry. You've lost your ability to make good decisions, but that's not necessarily ideal for food. But anyway, I don't want to ever come across as judgmental. Food is such a personal thing as well. And we are all on our own food and health journey. But for me, I've just noticed the connection between how I feel in my physical health and the food that I eat. It is undeniable. So the next thing on the list, behind family and behind health, is financial security, making money. And that's just, I think it's just honest. And these top three kind of exist in a circle that I've noticed. Like, they all affect each other. Because this is something that Tech and Sports said once on a podcast. Family is the most important thing to me. But if we don't have money to pay the bills, I can't show up to the baseball game. I got to go take a second job. That's probably what I should be doing, right? And that would really be, I think, personally quite challenging to have to make a decision like that when on my hierarchies list that I'm talking about today, family is higher up. But my family needs money to live, so that's my job. I got to do the money thing first because no one else is there doing that. But also no one else is there cheering on your kids at the baseball game like their dad's going to. So that's a really hard decision to have to make. So I see all three as so intertwined. And that's why I feel like, I thought I'd get less hungry, maybe. I was a little bit worried if I achieved any amount of financial security. But it's quite the opposite. I only recognize how important it is, the work that I do to create that financial security. And so the more that I'm able to create for my family and those around me, the more I want to create. It's actually quite the opposite. It's making me hungrier in a sense. So that's certainly something that I'm quite grateful for. It's just that financial security. That's number three. But they all connect, right? Like I said, the work and the health connect. If the work was getting in the way of my health, I'd probably want to change up my work situation. So those are all the three things that are super important to me. And that's what I spend most of my time every day on. Typically in the day, I'm either working or I'm hanging out with my family or I'm working out. And then I just drop on my pillow and I fall asleep, and I do the same thing the next day. Because I feel like my plate is so full. Like I feel really lucky in that sense that like I have so much purpose. Like my world is just overflowing with purpose, to the point where it's overwhelming sometimes when you have kids that all need you, but maybe they all need you at the same time. And I often go through my house and I see messes or areas that I could organize, and I'm just seeing jobs, and I'm seeing that I'm needed in so many places. And that is such a good feeling. It can be overwhelming at times, but it's such a good feeling just to feel that purpose. Like I am just infused with purpose as a human being at this point. You know, I look around my house, I see my work, I see my family, I see my home, and like right now, that's enough. But as I secure those three, I'm finding this fourth important factor kind of creeping in here. And that's kind of what's got me making this video and thinking about it. And it's kind of what has inspired, I guess, the YouTube channel in a sense, is that the one thing that I've noticed as I've gotten a little bit of breathing room in the financial security section of my life, just have to appreciate this little running water here behind me. So pretty. You can see that tree in the way, but it's really pretty. This fourth thing that I've noticed coming into my life as we've achieved a little bit of financial security is that I'm also searching for a bit of purpose and figuring out how it is that I can leave an impact on the world. I've just reached a point where it's too muddy, so I'm going to turn around and start going the other way. I was going to see how far I can make it on this trail. We just had a lot of rain, and I don't want to mess up the trails by walking in the mud, so I'm going to stick to the drier sections. So this fourth thing is, in a bigger sense, kind of a search for purpose, and also a search for the impact that I can leave on the world, right? And so I think that's a little bit tied to this YouTube channel. It's got me wanting to document my life more, you know, as a father, and my family, and my business, to take more photos, to take more screenshots, to recognize that I am living a story, but it's going to be hard for anyone to appreciate it if I'm not documenting it in some way. And so I'm going to continue to do a lot of deep dives here on this YouTube channel. A deal I made with myself is I'm not going to be doing any dedicated videos on the YouTube channel that aren't additionally me working on the business or in the business. I need to be making money, essentially is what I'm saying. Like, so until I'm monetized, I can't be doing a dedicated tour of my office. I think that'll be one of the first videos that I do, is just a walkthrough of my entire office, where I do my testing, my cleaning, my picture taking, shipping. It all happens in one room. So I'd love to give a little tour of that. And I'd also love to do just like a day in the life, I guess. I think it'd be fun. I'm still trying to figure out how a day in the life would work without requiring a ton of editing. But I'm gonna figure it out. And but I want to give myself the space and time to do that by feeling like my time is worth it. And right now, with my kids and with where the business is, I can't be spending a ton of time trying to craft the perfect YouTube video. But I will be releasing a lot more rough content like I've been doing, just trying to practice sharing the journey, right? Because I don't have a ton of time, I guess, to edit at this point. And YouTube isn't paying quite enough to justify an editor. But this is the early stuff. I feel like I'm still in such an early stage of this business. I wish there were more people who are grinding, who aren't just justifying why the business isn't going well, but just trying to show why the business is going well, at the risk of people in the comment section saying you're bragging or something. I mean, it's it's not as easy to talk about stuff that's going well, I feel like, because, you know, you're a lot more of a target of, I don't know, you can call that for bragging, but maybe that's just how I come across. Maybe I just need to work on coming across better. But anyway, this has been kind of a rambling series of thoughts here as I get my steps in. Usually I'm running these trails, but I'm taking a little bit of an off week because my wife and I are doing a trail race this weekend. So I'm just trying to take a little bit of a break from running so that my body gets nice and hungry for the run this coming weekend. So that will be super fun. It's our first race we've ever done together, and my wife's first race since like high school. So I'm really proud of you, Heather. I think it's going to be super fun. I'm glad we get to do it on the same day. So that's been my focus: health, family, business. My business sales dropped a little bit just from a busy week, and then these last few days I just have been pumping effort into creating listings, and every single time my sales go up. In fact, I started early that day. It was 3 or 4 days ago now where I started just listing like a maniac to my store, like over 100 items per day. And I had a over $2,000 sales day that first day. Like I was selling so many items that same day because I'm just, hopefully selling a lot of high demand stuff. That's what my business is all about. I just got to put the effort in to clean it and test it and list it. So that's been my focus. But I'm going to continue to put that effort in to share, to continue to want to leave an impact, to share the journey. I only found out that eBay could be a full-time job through YouTube, through other resellers sharing their journey. I didn't even know this could be a full-time thing. And so I guess I'm doing it hoping that someone else out there will benefit from this. So that's why I'm sharing this content about being a full-time eBay reseller. It's just to try to leave a little bit of an impact, maybe help somebody out. But like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not recommending that anyone do eBay full-time. This is not for everyone or even most people. And certainly for some people, it's an awesome job. For me, so I'm almost back home. I'm gonna jog out the rest of this little trail. We're gonna get to work. So this has been Joe, Profit First Reseller. Thanks for walking and listening to my rambling today. Peace.